faster, healthier, better.
Wayne, nice to meet you again.
It's
nice to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
So, welcome to the GetAlpha Mindset Podcast. So, on this podcast, we interview people who are great, who have good tips, good information when it comes to the world, and I think you're pretty great.
Thank you.
So, we're bringing you on. So, usually for the theme of the podcast, the person gets to bring in a Glenfiddich bottle.
Yes.
And that is you.
Yes.
So, you're treating us really well. 15 year.
Yeah, nice.
Do you want to pour?
I'll let you do it.
Oh,
I don't want to spill it.
That's okay. How'd you get this bottle?
It was a gift from a doctor that gave it to my wife, who's a nurse.
Okay. What hospital? Do you mind me asking what
No,
hospital she works at?
not at all. No, she works at the hospital in Barrie, so RVH.
Nice.
She's been there for 30 years. I think she's got about 3 years left, and then she can retire.
That's not bad.
So although the last 2 years have probably taken a toll on her more than ever.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I tell my kids when mom says she wants something done, you make sure you do it.
There you go. It is for our cameraman over here, Ryan. There you go. Okay, awesome. So how's your day been so far?
Really good. Hey, had a good workout.
Yeah. What did you work out today?
Today was a light workout, just some biceps and back.
That's all right. That's all right.
Nice and easy.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself in the sense of, so you own Boss Supplements. Yep. How long have you owned that?
It has been, you know what, we will be open 5 years this coming August.
5 years.
Yeah.
And what did you do before this?
So before this, I did a lot of stuff. I worked for a lot of Fortune 500 companies. So I started by working for Levi Strauss.
Okay.
And I worked there for, 12 years or so. Funny story, I started in the mailroom. I had a buddy of mine that I wanted so bad to get into that company. He worked there, and I said to him, Brad, like if there's ever a job that I can get in there for, like you got to let me know. Mm-hmm. He calls me one weekend and he says, Wayne, there's a job. And he goes, I don't think you're going to want it. I'm like, well, tell me what it is. Mm-hmm. At that time, I was working for Shoppers Drug Mart. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, it's in the mailroom. I said, ooh. And I said, okay, here, you know what? Let me think about that. So I gave the weekend. I ended up calling him back. I said, I'll give you my resume. And they knew what I was doing. Obviously, my goal there was to get in there and then network my way up. And what I did is the manager there made me sign for a year. She says, you got to stay in this department for a year, because she knew what I was going to do. So I said, no problem. And during that course of that year, I worked my ass off. Yeah. I networked with every department. I stayed late. I came in early. I worked for so many departments saying, hey, what do you need? Do you need anything done? I'll help you guys out. And then at the end of that year, I had departments coming to me and saying, hey, we want you to come and work with us. Mm-hmm. So I did a ton of things there. I worked, actually designed clothes for a little bit, which was kind of crazy because I have no fashion sense whatsoever. Okay. But I did.
Obviously you had some.
Well, I must have. So they saw something in me. But I did like T-shirts, woven shirts, short sleeves, long sleeves, jean jackets, that kind of stuff. And then I went in and I ended up working in their communications department. So I did like in-store marketing. Mm-hmm. Then I ended up doing outdoor marketing, did TV stuff. And by the time I left, I was running their marketing department. So mm-hmm. It was kind of fun. And then I left there and I went to another company up in Midland, which was a totally different company. It was business forms. So mm-hmm. very dry printing, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And did that for probably another 10, 12 years. Seems to be my normal stint on doing things. Okay. And then I left there and I went to a company called Regal Gifts. Mm-hmm. And I worked there for probably about 8 years. And then I worked for a startup that ended up spinning off like a crypto thing. Okay. So I'm a little bit involved in crypto.
Look at you, eh? I didn't know you were so savvy.
Yeah, and then I opened up the Boss Supplements in Newmarket.
Awesome. So what led into, because obviously you're very business savvy, but what pushed you into something more into like health, nutrition, supplementation?
So I've been working out.
Cheers, by the way.
Yes,
so
please.
Rude.
Thank you.
Cheers, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Oof.
Ooh, that's good.
It's really good. So sorry.
So I'd been working out probably when I was grade 14, mm-hmm. and loved it. Worked out at home first. and kind of just led me into continuously being involved in health and fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I had a little bit of a period where I had young kids that I kind of got out of it a little bit.
Trying to find your groove.
Absolutely, but it was always there. And then I got heavy back into it probably, I'll say maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
And then I happened to meet somebody that you know, Matt Guglia.
Mm-hmm.
And
Shout out to Matt.
Exactly. And he was working actually at the Boss store in Barrie.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes. And he was a great resource. And he helped me through a ton of different things.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
He is. He knows if you want a guy that can tell you nutrition and training. He's
I want to get him on.
He is the dude. Anyway, so I just loved his passion. And I thought to myself, okay, I was doing this thing with this company in Midland, and I loved the work. But at the end of the day, I wanted to do something different. And I just looked at it and said, okay, I've done all these different things in my life. Now I want to start putting some of that thought into my own thing. And what would you like to do? And I got lots of things that I'm interested in. This just seemed to be the obvious thing because I have a passion for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what led me. That's kind of what led me going down this path, right? And yeah, you know what? And it's kind of fulfilled everything. It's so well, you know what? It's exciting, and you get to meet everybody that has the same kind of mindset. Everybody's very positive. As I always say, I don't care if you're 53 or 23. We're all trying to do the same damn thing. Yeah. Right? We're trying to be better. That's all we're trying to do.
That's
and
true.
If everybody's got that goal, it makes it really, really simple. Right?
Yeah. I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
And was it a little bit of a learning curve, like learning these supplements, these formulas and stuff like that?
You know
Did
what?
you take kind of a crash course?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I did, because again, it's just who I am.
Yeah.
I basically went and I dissected everything. I actually used.
I love it.
I used like bodybuilding.com a lot, and I just researched. And I basically went through and said, okay. I went to the Barrie Boss supplement store, and I said, okay, you guys, what do you got? I just pen and paper, wrote everything down and said, okay, these are all the supplements. Now I need to go and research what every single one of these do. Some of them are obvious. Some of them are things that, you know what, you just know. Mm-hmm. Some of them are like, well, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, the supplement industry I find it's changing every year. There's a new formula. There's a new research.
It is.
There's new things, now like they're researching things like green tea extracts to help with like blood flow and stuff like that. It's just ever developing. There's always new clinical studies. So I find myself like staying up until like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. just like researching new things
every day.
So it's like before, the back in the day, it was L-citrulline, caffeine, maybe some agmatine, creatine,
protein powder.
But now there's so many different things that helps with like a power output when lactic acid builds up. It's
longevity, aging, everything. Like it's
crazy.
Going, it really is. It's come full circle. And the nice thing is everybody now is kind of like, it doesn't matter if you're 16 or 60. There's something that can absolutely help your performance or just help your life.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, geez, you know what? I got an ache in my shoulder. What can I do for that? Okay, well, hey, you know what? Funny enough, I've got the same damn thing. So this is what I did to make it better.
Yeah.
So there is. It's constantly like you have to be on top of it all the time. Because if you let go of it and you're not doing anything for a month, you've lost it, because there's research that was done on something just recently that will change what maybe you don't even decide to sell that anymore, or maybe you decide to sell it more because now it has another purpose.
Yeah, 100%. And I find that like before, like I don't know why, but I feel like creatine is getting a resurgence.
Well, it's huge.
Before they're like it started, everybody's like, gotta be creatine, which it's proven. Yes. You know, it's works. Been around forever. Get to that saturation period.
Absolutely.
And it works.
It does.
And I kind of died off for a bit, and now everybody's back on creatine, and I'm like, oh, so we got trends.
Yeah, you know what? It is. It's funny because I remember creatine back in the early 90s, and it was a supplement that literally, it was almost like taking steroids. Because it has
that kind of like feel towards it,
does,
right?
You know what? And I know for us back then, it was hard to find. So it wasn't something that you could just walk in and get off
like
of a shelf
or something like that.
No, not at all. It was kind of like, it would be like, hey man, where do you get your creatine?
Yeah.
It really
That's so funny because you can literally probably buy it at Loblaws or something like that right now.
You can get it anywhere.
Anywhere.
You can go anywhere and buy it. And back then, it wasn't that way. So and the nice thing is it is one of those supplements that you know it works, because within 3 weeks of taking it, you not only do you feel more full, I'll say from a power and strength standpoint,
100% helps with ATP.
Oh, you betcha, man!
Yeah.
It's so much more energy. Like it is. It is the one supplement. And I'll say it 10 times a day to people. It's the one supplement that is proven. It's proven.
I agree. When a client asks me like what supplements I should take, I always say fish oil, protein powder if you're not getting it enough through your food, multivitamin, and creatine. That's it. Everything else is just gravy.
Absolutely. You know what? Maybe greens if you don't eat enough greens.
Greens 100%.
That's really kind of it.
That's another thing. The green supplement has made leaps and bounds when it comes to like the flavor.
Yeah.
Before it was like
I'd
rather eat broccoli.
Well, you know what? It's like eating grass clippings.
100%. But that formula, it's so much better now. It adds a flavor now, and people are really getting their intake when it comes to greens now, which is nice.
Well, you know what? It's one of those things that I don't care who you are. Most people do not take in enough. We don't.
No.
We just don't. And I don't care if you're eating 2,000 calories or 5,000 calories. You generally still aren't getting enough. And you know what? Within one scoop, now all of a sudden you're there. Yeah. Right. So
it's true.
So it's just changed.
Yeah. A lot of people think, if they have veggies for their dinner, they're getting their like, oh no, I have peppers and asparagus. I'm like, oh my God, you're only scratching the surface.
Well, the other thing is they're having this much. That's it.
It's true. Because they don't. Well, most of the time people don't like veggies.
That's right.
But most of the time.
You know what? I would say that's a common theme amongst 90% of the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So when a person walks into your store and they're very new to supplementation, what are the first questions that they ask?
What's your goal? So we ask them.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, 100%. It's about wanting to know what their goal is, because if you come in and you say, okay, you know what, Wayne, I want to gain some muscle size. Okay, that's good. Joe comes in and Joe wants to lose 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Two totally different conversations, right? So you've got to find that out first to say, okay, what is that? So that's and that leads everything from there. And what I'll say are things like what you just said. I'll talk about the not sexy supplements, and that's things. They're not omegas and vitamins. They're not sexy. Everybody wants to talk about pre-workout.
It's true.
Like literally, that's literally people want it because that is a sexy supplement. It's something that we all want to try, and that's so. It's usually, I'll be honest, I will deter people from even wanting to go and do pre-workout. Especially new people, like you said, they have never been into it. The last thing you need is pre-workout. You don't even know that you need it yet. If you're just starting to work out, you don't even know.
You can argue that you don't even need pre-workout, right?
So I would agree with you.
You can argue 100%. That, and people ask me like, "What's the best pre-workout?" I'm like, "Best for who? Best for when? Best for where?" If you, for example, I have a guy I train. He's an MMA fighter. I'm not going to give him something to blast him with lactic acid and blood. Like he needs something to help with lactic acid to help buffer that, right? That's right. Needs something for ATP, right? Needs something for a little bit of focus, nothing too crazy. That's right. Right? Because his training session is a little too long. Yeah. But if you're a bodybuilder, let's just rush as much blood into that muscle as possible, right? Totally. So it's like I can't tell you what's best because it's what's best for me is not going to be best for you.
And time of day.
Yeah, and that's true also. And for example, like if you're training at 5 a.m. or you train at 7 p.m., right? You don't want to be jacked up for like totally 6-7 hours.
Totally different. And that's I'll be honest. I have different pre-workouts for depending on when I.
Oh, I do too.
Like I have to be like if I take a pre-workout at 5 o'clock in the afternoon that is totally high stim in caffeine, I am not sleeping that night. Or if I do, I'm falling asleep at 3 a.m. Yeah. So it's completely different, and that's where like even non-stim pre-workouts, I take a lot of those now.
Well, right? That's the thing is, I feel like I'm always having to defend pre-workouts because people who don't work out or don't take pre-workouts are like, isn't that bad for you? I'm like, well, isn't McDonald's bad for you when you have that? Isn't Wendy's bad for you when you have that? You smoke cigarettes. That's bad for you also. You betcha. Right? I totally agree. And it's the exact same thing what you just said. Like, for example, if I know I wear a Whoop. So that monitors my recovery, my sleep and stuff like that. If I know I'm fully recovered, I'm going to take a non-stim because I don't need it.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
So you feel good.
I'll take a non-stim. Maybe in that day, I'll have a coffee, but just in general, I'll have a coffee,
Anyways,
right?
yeah.
But if I'm a little bit, underslept and need a little something else, that's my secret weapon.
Totally.
And I think that's, I always tell people when it comes to pre-workouts, less is more.
Always.
Because the less you take, the longer longevity you have to these caffeine stimulants and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie. I made that 25-year-old mistake of taking Jack 3D and NO Explode,
all the good stuff. Yeah,
and I was like buzzing. I remember I
it.
saw a funny meme and was like, I took too much pre-workout, but now I can hear sound. I can see sound.
Yes, that's it.
And I made that amateur mistake.
Most people do,
and I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll be honest. I've even not that I did it on purpose, but I pretty much cut out all caffeine except for my pre-workout. So when I take pre-workout, I take a half a dose of it now because it hits me so freaking hard. Like I literally a 200 milligrams of caffeine now is like 450 milligrams to me in the past.
But that's good.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And a lot of the pre-workouts I take they're under 200 milligrams because I just I don't need it anymore. Yet I still have that same feeling. Still have that same rush. I still feel like I'm freaking on fire and I just want to go.
Yeah.
But I'm taking in so much less caffeine. So it's one of those things. I always tell people every 3 months, you need to come off.
Oh, for sure.
Stop taking it because your adrenals and your adrenaline is just, it's not, your body's not producing any of it because you're giving it 600 milligrams of caffeine every single day. Yeah. It doesn't need to.
100%. I totally agree with you. I have a caffeine budget every day, so just like a macro budget. So my budget is 400 milligrams, which to some people may seem like a lot.
Yeah.
But
you know what? Funny enough, I'm going to say to a lot of people, that's low.
So I've tried a pre-workout that's 700 milligrams.
Oh my gosh.
So, but 400 of it is anhydrous, which is hard hitting, then the rest is slow release. So that means that you don't crash, right? That's right. And it's well formulated. I know the formulator, so that kind of eases out. But I only do that on my martial arts days because I'm training for 2 hours and it's high pace and I just need something else.
You know what? You're gonna burn through an awful lot of that during that kind of training.
Exactly. And usually a half-life of caffeine is about 45 minutes or so, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely. So I'm
okay with that.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually not bad.
But when you tell people that, they're like, you're gonna have a heart attack and stuff like that, and I'll agree with that to a certain degree if you're living on an unhealthy lifestyle. But what people don't understand too is when they have a lot of caffeine, make sure you're staying hydrated.
Oh boy!
Right, I drink about a gallon a day of water, and it balances things out. I don't care. If my clients, if they're like, I have 3 coffees a day, the first thing I ask is how much water are you drinking? And if they're drinking 4 liters. That doesn't bother me.
That's my point. 4 to 5 liters a day is perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect, right? It's gonna help you with that dehydration that's gonna come from that caffeine too, right? And it's just gonna make you feel better overall, anyways. Caffeine is a great stimulant. Yeah, it's just one of those things that you have to be careful of, right? Because I know for me, if I take now,
you just have to be mature about it.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of people, it'll drive up their anxiety.
Yeah.
I know for me, I've had some pre-workouts that I've taken, and I'll be honest, I sat in a gym one morning on a bench for 10 minutes thinking, I think I'm going to die. And I remember having my phone in my hand thinking, when do I dial 911? At what point do I do it? And I'm not an anxious person. Mm-hmm. I now know with people that have
anxiety.
I know what that means now. I know what that feels like. And it does not feel very good at all. I would not. So now I'm very cautious of that. And you know what? You got to know what your body is good with. So certain ingredients, maybe I'm not good with synephrine.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of pre-workouts will have that in there. Well, that's an ingredient I stay away from now.
I think we all have too much pre-workout story.
Oh yeah.
So I remember when do you remember 1MR?
Yeah, oh yes.
Yeah. So back in the day when I was probably working the most I've ever worked, I was doing a night shift somewhere. So it start at 10 p.m., work until 5, and then I go home. I would nap for 2 hours, and then I would go do landscaping until 1, and then I would do personal training until 8 p.m., sleep, and then I go to night shift. Anyway, so the odd times that I get a little bit of a break, I would work out and stuff like that, right? So I took one or more, and I remember that time 1 scoop was an amount of 3 scoops.
Oh my gosh.
But I would say I have a pretty high tolerance when it comes to things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit of a young gun.
Yep.
So I was like, I
Give
can
it a
take
shot.
2 scoops.
Give me that.
I remember I took 2, I sipped it, or I drank it, went to the gym, and remember I was doing chest and back. And then at that time, I was pretty weak, so I was like only bench pressing like 225 for like maybe 2, maybe 3. I was banging out like 8 reps of that bitch, and I was supersetting that with pull-ups. And then I smashed 4 reps. I remember I sat down, and it's literally like the volume, like everything went.
That's it.
And I was like, my teeth were chattering. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then I was like, you know what? It's like here. And I was like, I think I'm going to throw up.
Yep, I'm going to vomit.
And I went downstairs, and thank God I could hold it in. And I threw up.
See.
And I remember that I was like, I think I was sick for like 2 days.
It made you feel like crap.
And I didn't take pre-workout for like another like 2 months. And then obviously I did my research, and I'm like, I was an idiot.
Yes.
I took too much.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Right? So that's why I try to teach people. Like, I have a 16-year-old kid who's in hockey. He's like, I need pre-workout right now. I'm like, but do you? Like, going back to what you just said, I'm like, do you? Or do you just maybe need like to eat a better like meal, pre-workout meal?
Some more carbs.
Have some more carbs.
Yep.
And if you're really, really that tired, like, maybe ask your parents if they're cool with like a coffee.
I'll be honest with you. I look at it and I say, listen, and I say this all the time to kids. I'll be like, listen, you're 20. I'm 53.
Yeah.
Some days I don't take a pre-workout, or if I do, it's got no caffeine in it.
Yeah.
You're 20. You've got more energy than you'll ever have in your fucking life.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, why do you need that? Like,
Yeah.
why do you think you actually need that? So that's my thing. I think you just got like, and again, pre-workouts aren't bad.
They aren't.
They have a purpose. Hey, every time I go for a PR, I'm taking pre-workout, and I'm
100%.
taking more. I'm taking more than
A little
I
extra
normally
juice.
would. Absolutely, I need it. I
That's
need
okay.
that.
That's
I
okay.
need that. So yeah, it's like anything. They always say about moderation. That's what it is.
Well, I argue to people, it's the same thing with alcohol.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not telling you people to drink every day.
Nope.
Take a pre-workout when you know, like, exactly what
When
you
you
just
need
said. If you're trying to go for a 1 rep max, let's say you're trying to deadlift 500, maybe you need a little extra,
That's right. Hey, you're having a 2 hour boxing session. Yeah, you know what?
Okay.
You probably.
Or if you're smashing a 2 a day,
That's right.
then
Absolutely.
maybe, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Then spread it out.
That's right. Maybe that second one you need a little bit more. So yeah, it's truly like anything else.
Yeah.
And you know what? Can you eat at McDonald's? I wouldn't suggest it, but if you ate there once a month, okay, you know what? Maybe
get by with
that's
that.
Right, that's right. It's when you eat there once a day that you get yourself into trouble.
Exactly.
Right.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, it's a heavy subject, the pandemic. So they say we're going to go in lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't know what's essential.
No.
What's not essential. No. What was your first thought?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I at that time, Matt, who was with me, I remember us sitting down and saying, "Okay, what do we do here? How do we navigate the waters?" And within a day, what we decided was, listen, we will start delivering people to people, and we did it all. It was hard, so it was all through like our Instagram, so all social media stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll do orders through there if we have to. Obviously, people can call us. Obviously, they can do curbside pickup. So we literally launched that literally the day when it was announced. So even before we went into lockdown, I want to say that was maybe like the Friday. And we announced that on our Instagram, and we pushed that out so people would know, hey, don't worry about it. You can still order your stuff. And I will say that first week was a tough week. We were pretty, like, I remember
So much unknown, right?
Well, you didn't know, like, and the thing is was it going to be? I think if you talk to people now, I think a lot of us thought it was going to be for 2 weeks. Like,
Well,
we had that in our mind.
Well, they kind of sold us on like the flattening of the curve
Yes.
situation. We all tried to do our part.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And then, it got a little long.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, and we just decided that we are going to run our business like we're open. That's what we're going to do. So that first lockdown, we didn't know. I mean, in hindsight, we probably should have questioned it, but we didn't because we just thought, hey,
it was fresh.
we didn't know. And so we locked our door. But we were still there every single day, 7 days a week. And we were taking orders all that 8 hours. I think we were there for 8 hours, 7 or 8 hours. We were there the entire time, taking orders, managing it through, a lot of it through social media. So lots of messaging, lots of that. And that first week was scary because I think everybody listened to what the government wanted us to do. And that was basically sit on your couch. Don't get, like, literally stay home. And literally they literally, and it was, and therefore that first week, I remember Matt coming to me and saying, I think you might have to lay me off. And I said, no, let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks first. And I remember sitting there saying,
respect on Matt for saying that though.
Oh, again, Matt, great guy. He's an honest guy. And he's a caring guy. So he saw what was happening. And I remember saying to him, if we go out of business, this isn't how we go out. We go out because of something maybe I
that's
did.
an entrepreneur in you.
You betcha, man. I won't let somebody else make me go out of business. I'll make myself go out of business. So so we dug in our heels, and I'll be honest, we gained so many new customers during the pandemic that we didn't have these people before.
Well, you guys, like, I remember, so when that came out, it took what, a month, 2 months for like the government to realize that like supplement shops were considered essential. Because it was for your body.
Absolutely.
Right? So I remember that time before they could open up, Popeyes and GNC were doing online.
That's right.
Right? But you guys were taking that extra step. And you were driving yourselves.
You betcha. We were doing same day delivery, and I'll be honest. At one point, so the days that I was in, so Matt and I, again, we try to be careful. So Matt and I actually alternated days. So I would do one day, then he was the next day, and I did the next day, and that way we were never in the store together. That way, if I got sick, we could still be open because we never saw each other. And on the days that I was there, I had my kids in with me because my kids weren't doing anything, and they were bored as heck.
Yeah.
So my kids actually did deliveries. So
oh, really?
Absolutely.
How old are your kids?
They are 18 and 21.
Okay.
So they could actually go and do the deliveries for me. So during the day, I'd be like, hey, we'll do deliveries at 1:00, and then we'll do deliveries when we close at 5:00. So literally, if you ordered at 11:00, you could potentially have your order in 2 hours.
I ordered from you guys, so I remember you guys were hella quick.
And even today, we still do that. So if you ordered today, you're still getting your order today.
Oh, you guys still do that now?
Absolutely.
Good for you
100%.
guys.
So it was, and I'll say, like, we have our own website now, which a lot of that business goes through there now. And so every day we have people that we're still delivering to, and we have a ton of people that will order and do a pickup. And whether that be, I mean, with Omicron, because it's contagious, there's a lot of households now that have people in them. We'll have lots of people that will say, can I do a curbside and you can just come out and throw it in my trunk for me? Because obviously they've got somebody in their household which is fair. So I'm like, absolutely. And or they order it and they say, can I come in? I'll be in around 5:00. I'm like, yeah, come in. We're open till 8:00. So your order's already ready for you. You come in and pick it up. So
when the pandemic hit and you had to do those drives,
yeah,
what did you find that was the thing that was constantly being sold?
You know what? I will say pre-workout probably took a hit because I think a lot of people felt, because I'm working out at home, and depending on what you had, like if you had...
Well, there was a scramble at that time. People were going to Walmart, Canadian Tire.
Oh boy. So
people were like asking people, like, can I rent your weights for like 2 weeks?
You betcha. Weeks, right? Absolutely. So, and we got on that because we sold dumbbells.
Which is smart of you guys.
Oh, absolutely. We thought, hey, you know what? For me, I didn't make any money at it. So I sold it because I knew that people needed it. And that, for me, that was more than anything. I'm like, if these people can still work out, that's the main thing. Because I just didn't want to see people drop off. And so we did that. We sold dumbbells. We sold kettlebells. We sold bands and stuff. So pre-workout definitely took a hit. The things that probably, funny enough, you're going to laugh, things that we saw a lot of uptake on was snacks.
Snacks? Wow.
And I think it's because people were at home. And when you're at home and you're bored and you can't go anywhere, what do?
It's the worst.
You eat. And so they figured, hey, let's at least, if I'm going to, instead of me eating an O'Henry bar, well, let me have this cookie that's healthy.
At least has some protein in it.
That's exactly
more
it.
fiber.
So that's exactly it. So that's what we saw. I would say protein was pretty consistent still. We sold still a lot of protein stuff. I would say things that help your immunity. So vitamin D.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about also is I think I've never... So we were talking about sexy supplements like pre-workout and creatine.
Yeah.
I think the new sexy is vitamins now.
It is.
Right?
It is.
And I always knew about that. You always knew about that. Right? Like if you don't mind me asking, what's your vitamin stack that you take right now?
So I take my vitamin. I take a vitamin... I guess it's a promo thing, but I take a vitamin from HD Muscle. It's called Vita HD.
Shout out to HD.
Absolutely, Dorian. And you know what? It is by far the best vitamin on the market because it not only has all your vitamins and your minerals in there,
Yeah.
but what it also has is it's got things like greens. It's got things like ashwagandha, so it's going to help your stress levels,
Cortisol levels.
Absolutely. So that's really important. It's got things for joints. It's got things for your brain. So it's a real. I call it more than it's more than a vitamin, but I take that. I still supplement with a lot of vitamin D. So I probably take up to, I will say, anywhere between 5 and 10. Oh, absolutely.
That's a lot. But you know what? That's needed though.
Well, right now, I'll be honest. Right now, absolutely. And I mean, if it's dark and crappy out in the winter here, yeah, you know what? It is one of those things that it's a feel good supplement that I always say to people, think about how you feel when you're in the sun for half an hour. In the sunlight, in the summer, your skin's exposed, you feel so great. Yeah. Well, that's what vitamin D does. That's how your skin, that's how your body produces it by being there. Well, you don't have that. Because right now, all that's exposed to the sun is this.
Oh, I know. I hate it.
It's this, right? So you don't get any of that. So I do. I take a lot of vitamin. I take a lot of vitamin D. My normal stack. I'll be honest. My normal stack. I can say this because I do it every single day. My morning, I get up. I do take protein first thing in the morning.
What protein you take?
Well, it depends on what I'm doing. So right now, I'm more in a strength program right now. So I'm trying to up my carbs a little bit. So I actually take Syntha 6, which is got a good amount of protein, but it's also got a good amount of carbs and some fats in there, which is what I need. I take greens in there. So I'll take greens in the morning. I then have a big bottle that I put creatine and glutamine in, and I take a lot of glutamine because glutamine is, yes, it helps you with your recovery, helps your immune system, helps your digestion. I take the daily dose that they'll recommend is about 5 grams.
You can go above that though.
I take about 25 grams.
Good for you.
Absolutely, because again, which is why I say I don't get sick. I haven't had a cold in 5 years. So
5 years.
Yeah. So
oh my gosh.
So I think that's important. So glutamine, obviously the vitamin D. What else am I taking here? I will do stuff for my kidneys and liver, so I take some kidney and liver stuff. It has NAC in it. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Because again, that doesn't matter if you're working out or
no, not at all.
You should be taking that. Yeah, you should be taking that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh my god.
Do you want more ice?
I do.
I do.
I do.
I got you.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, it's and then. So yeah, my kidney stuff, my liver stuff, those. I mean, and then my omegas. Absolutely, omegas. I mean, omegas are just such an important thing, even just from a heart standpoint, but even from a mental cognitive standpoint, they're so good.
Sir.
Thanks. So yeah, like I don't know, it's those are the things that I take absolutely on a daily, and there are other things that I would take, obviously depending on my workouts. Right, so your pre-workouts and stuff, but yeah, like that's kind of what I take, and then hey, obviously I'm going to try to lose some weight. Well, I'm going to take something a little bit different.
So let me put you in the hot seat a little bit because I find myself having to defend this a little bit. But when a person comes in and says that fat burners are not good for you,
yeah. So you know what?
How would you argue against that? I know my argument.
Yeah,
I want to hear yours.
So I'm going to say, do they work? Yes. However, they work only if you're doing all the other things right. So,
amen.
So what I will say to people, and I always exaggerate, so that's the way that it's easy to make my point. If I'm going to McDonald's once a day and eating, it won't do anything for you. It can't. It's not a magic pill. So you have to put the work in first. So you've got to make sure that you're eating well. you're sleeping well, you're drinking enough water, and you're working out. And if you do all those things, then a fat burner can help you out. But it's not something that's going to make you drop 50 pounds while you're still eating McDonald's. Can't.
It's not to hate on the supplementation companies, but the word fat burner,
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
It is wrong.
Like when people ask me, like even when I say like I'm taking something that remotely kind of comes close to fat burner, I say more of like a thermogenic, or I say more something for my metabolism to help a little bit.
So you know what?
Fat burner is just so villainized.
You know what it is? It's a generic term that's been used for it. Because nowadays, I will say that most of the supplements, they don't call them. You won't see fat burner.
It's definitely changed.
Yeah, you won't see that. You're going to see things like thermal.
Mm-hmm.
You might see energy and burn. Mm-hmm. You might see hydro burn.
Appetite suppressions.
Suppressions.
And some people might think that's bad, but at the end of the day, like a lot of people don't know, caffeine is an appetite suppression.
100%,
right?
Which
people don't know that.
Which is why it's in most fat burners.
Exactly.
Like there's a reason. Now it also helps boost your metabolism.
Yes.
But absolutely, that's a really, really good suppressant. So you know what it's a supplement that really, if you're doing all the other things correctly, it will work for you. But if you're not doing those, and I will have more people. Again, I'm too honest when it comes to this stuff.
That's good though.
I'll have more people that I won't sell it to than I will sell it to.
What are those kind of people?
Well, because I'm honest with them. I'll say, listen, you know what you do? So if I ask somebody, say, how many calories do you eat? And they say, oh, you know what, I probably eat this much. And I say, tell me what you ate yesterday. Mm-hmm. When they tell me what they ate yesterday and they ate 1,000 calories, I'm like, that's your problem. Your body has basically stopped. It's not using any of the food you're putting in it. It's storing it. Is what it's doing. It's storing it everywhere. It's not using it for any energy. So you're probably, which is why they'll say, well, I'm gaining weight. Well, of course I'm gaining weight. Your metabolism is completely stopped. Your body's in starvation mode, and all it's trying to do is survive.
Yeah.
So it's really important. So my thing is, when I say to people, you got to actually eat more to lose weight. And if that person doesn't buy into that,
people don't fathom that
they
though.
don't get it.
Which is unreal.
They don't get it. If you think about what originally how the body worked, again, if you think about if you were a caveman, what worked? Well, you ate. When you killed a lion or you killed a saber-tooth, you ate like a king.
A saber-tooth, oh my God.
But then, well, yeah.
I don't know if I can do that way.
I don't know. Well, hey, if you hate, but
I understand what you're saying.
But then you may not eat for a week. So your body has the mechanism to say, I'm going to store some, so that then when you need it for that week, you've got something. Well, that's how our body works today. So people don't realize it. And when you say it to them that you got to eat more, you see the look on their eyes. They don't get it. And for those people, if I say, what I'll say to them, track your calories for me. And I'll say, use MyFitnessPal. It's the easiest thing to use. Mm-hmm. Use that. And if you use that for 2 weeks, then come back and see me. Because you need to understand that before you do anything else. And you need to make sure that you're making the right choices. And you're not eating McDonald's. Right? So that's it. Yeah. Fat burners, do they work? They absolutely do. Not under all circumstances.
One thing I want to ask you, because I feel like we all kind of went through that groove. How did you stay healthy and in shape during the lockdowns? The mini lockdowns.
Yeah. So, you know what? It's funny. It's, obviously being in the industry helps because it at least helped me eat properly still. And I use his name often, so I'll pull him out again. But Matt Guglia did it to me too. Because you know what? The guy eats so clean.
I know. I see his Instagram accounts, and I'm like,
man, cheat a little bit.
Well, that's why he looks the way he looks.
Well, that's it. So when you have somebody like that, you have to. And again, it's nothing that he would say. It's nothing that he would never say a word about it. But it forces you to be that way. The other thing is, you also got to like it.
Yeah.
You also got to like it, and
or at least learn to appreciate it.
Well, yeah, and you know what, and probably adapt, because I will say that for the first little while, the stuff I had at home, I had 80 pounds of weight.
Oh, really?
That's all I had. I had a one inch bar with 80 pounds of weight, and I'll tell you, I worked out with that stuff like crazy, but it got pretty tired. I had some bands in there so that I could do a little bit more resistance.
Yeah.
And probably I'm like everybody else. Probably for the first, I don't know, month, it was sketchy, because I think for me, I need routine, and that's
we all need routine.
Yeah,
Creatures of habit, right?
We absolutely are, and I didn't have it. So it would be like I'd say to myself, okay, well, I'm going to work out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'd get up early enough that I would hop online and start doing work, and then I'd be like, you know what, I'll do it at 2 o'clock. The next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I really had to force myself to get into a routine to say, listen, I work out every day at 1 o'clock. When I'm home, I work out at 1 o'clock. Easy. It's got to be that. And that's kind of what kept me going. The other thing is, I got a buddy of mine, Mike. Mike and I grew up on the same street, same age, and we started working out together when we were 14, and we're still buddies today. And he forced me to work out because has a great full setup, and I didn't have that, but he kept working out as he normally would, and his weights were going up and his PRs were going up, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't even do anything. And that still forced me to say, I don't want to fall back though. I don't want to fall back. And even to this day, we text every single day. We text about our workouts. I don't see him very often. But we keep in check. So it was kind of like trying to figure out, okay, how do I keep myself going? Because at the end of the day, I also needed it mentally. Like physically, it makes you feel great. Yeah. But man, oh man, it's a great stress reliever to work out, and I needed that, especially during this time. It was kind of like, oh my God, there were so many unknowns. What was going to happen? The other thing is, I also kind of look at it and say, people. I'll put it on myself and say people expect me to.
100%.
They right? Like all of a sudden, if I just stopped working out and I stopped caring, what does that say about me then?
You have a bit of a responsibility, right?
I absolutely do. How could I stand there and say, oh, you should do this when I don't do it? Right?
I totally agree with you.
It's kind of like you. Like literally, you train people. So all of a sudden, if you just stopped.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, I tell people, like, I probably work out only because of my mental health. Yeah, like, personally for me, I'm a very, you wouldn't guess it, but I'm a very angry person.
Yeah.
And I have a lot inside.
Yep.
And if I didn't train, whether that was running, weight training, whatever it may be, I would not know what to do with all this in my head.
Yeah.
And I need a tool to push that out, right? So, I mean, the physical and the health and the way that I feel is an extra. It's gravy. But how I feel here and how I feel in my heart is 100% what I aim for, right? And that's what I try to aim for specifically for my clients is like how do you feel in your head? How do you feel in your heart? Because how you feel body-wise when you look in the mirror, that's extra. That's gravy, baby.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, if you feel sexier, if you feel better, if you feel more confident, I'm happy for you.
I agree.
But how do you feel up here?
Yeah.
You know, how do you feel in your heart?
Yeah.
That's what I care about, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Good segue, though. But one thing I wanted to ask you about is something you did that I've done is how did you like the 75 hard?
So I will say I loved it because I'll go back to what you said before. We're creatures of habit.
Yeah. So
75 hard was fantastic. Now, I am going to try that probably in the next. I'm going to go back and try it again probably in the next month or so. Because
have you gotten to phase? Because there's a phase 1, right?
Well, I got to 62 days, and I get vertigo. So I got a bad case of vertigo that put me in bed for 5 days. So I couldn't get out of bed. This room would be spinning. Yeah. Basically. So. But I do remember laying in bed that first day thinking, okay, can I still go downstairs and work out? Can I still get my one workout? Can I still go outside, maybe go for a 45-minute walk? Can I still do that? Obviously, the answer is no. But it teaches you really, really good discipline. The one thing is that program, and everybody should look it up. Like
100%.
Look that up.
I honestly, even if you don't finish I would employ everybody to try to finish 75 hard.
You should.
But even if you don't, the habits that you create Because it takes what? It takes maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks to create a habit?
21 days, I always say.
21 days to create a habit, right? And things that stick with you really stick with you.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things that, like, you may not do everything afterwards. You may not keep to all those things, but I guarantee you're going to keep to like 3 or 4 of those things that you maybe never did before. I know for me, drinking water, I just do it now. I mean, they instilled it. That program instills it in you to drink it. You just do it.
It's a gallon, right?
I drink 5 liters. I try to drink 5 liters.
Well, a gallon is what, 3.5?
Yeah, I think it is. It's 3.5.
So you're overreaching there, eh? You overachiever.
You know what, though? I'm thirsty all the time.
Okay, fair enough.
So you do it. So it makes it easy. But yeah, you know what? I think it's more of a mental discipline than anything. Because yeah, you know what? Do you notice a difference? Yeah, you know what? I got a heck of a lot stronger during doing this. Now, they always say choose a diet. My diet was eat. My diet was I need to eat this many calories and this is what my macros need to be, and I need to stick to that come hell or high water. And and for me that was a big thing. Even the reading for me was probably the toughest.
The reading for me was probably the hardest for me was the water, because it was like 8 p.m. I was like, oh my god, I got 2 points. I'm gonna be pissing all night. Oh my gosh. The reading was fun for me.
Was it? Yes.
And that's something that stuck with me now. Like so my days start worst case my days start at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Best case my day started at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And now I just have to read all the time because of 75 Hard, right?
Yeah.
And the way that I choose it is one book is for just for fun. So for example, the other day I read the Will Smith autobiography, and then the other books are more for skills, something I want to learn. So right now I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it's something that stuck with me because it's like I want to evolve in the gym, but I want to evolve up here too.
That's the key,
right? I want to be able to use what I can to apply to any parts of life, right? I want to be strong. I want to be fit.
It's 10 minutes a day too. That's
all
that's all the programming. Like it's 10 minutes a day. How much? We waste 10
this for 10 minutes a day.
We waste 10 minutes a day every single day.
Yeah. So now I put it to 30 minutes a day per book.
Smart.
But in the beginning, as exactly what you said, it was 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Right, but I've evolved more into I'm going to put a little bit more time, and I appreciate it so much more because, in some cases, that's like my time. That's my meditation time.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And I appreciate that more now than I did before.
Yeah.
So that's why I appreciate that 75 Hard so much.
It is. You know what I would say to anybody.
It took me 4 times to retry it.
Oh geez, hey! If you listen to Andy, like there are so many people that have tried it, and then on the 10th time they get it.
Well, he said,
like,
what did he say? He said, if anybody's tried it and never retried it, and I'll quote him, he's a fucking liar.
I believe it.
Right? And I've retried it, like I said, like 4 or 5 times at least.
Norman pissed me off when I couldn't do it. I was angry. I was angry when I couldn't. I was so angry.
It's funny because I remember one time I did everything. Worked out twice. I read. I did everything else. I ate. I stuck to my nutrition. Couldn't back to the fucking water. I couldn't finish that gallon of water. I woke up in the morning. My fiance was like, "Why are you so pissed?" I'm like, "Cause I didn't finish a fucking gallon of water." And that makes no sense. She's like, "Can you still walk the dog?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm just pissed."
Yeah, that's on it.
You know what I mean? And it's those little. But you know what? There's a quote I read the other day, and it's so true. And we're gonna get a little deep here, but it's the only true form of self-love is discipline, right? And I found that with 75 Hard is the more disciplined I was, the more I respected myself. And the more I respected myself, the more things I could achieve in life, right? And the more, I'll say it, the more confidence I had to achieve other things, right?
Do you ever listen to Jocko? Do you know who Jocko Wilco is?
He's too intense for me sometimes. Actually, you know what? Jocko is his song. I don't know if you know he has songs?
No.
So his song is actually the theme of this podcast that I just created.
Get out.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, be released in 1 week.
Yeah,
so Jocko is one thing that monologue that he did was, I don't know if you've heard it, but it's good. Have you heard of the good monologue that he did?
No.
So it's like, okay, didn't get to work out today. Good. Tomorrow, you're gonna make sure that workout is better. Your business didn't work out. Good. You have time to learn what you did wrong and do it better. Your relationship didn't work out. Good. Now you know who you are and what you want in a relationship. And in turn, everything that has gone wrong is good.
It's good.
Right?
It gives you a chance.
And it's that mindset, right? And that's what I appreciate. That's what I like.
So the only reason I bring it up is, do you know who Tim Ferriss is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Tim Ferriss has, he had a podcast. He wrote a book called, oh my God, something of mentors. Oh my gosh, can't remember. Anyway, something mentors.
This is why we needed like a laptop.
Like
we're getting there, baby. We're getting there soon.
If I brought it up on my phone, I could find it because I have it. Actually, it's a saved podcast that I listen to, and I listen to it often.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Jocko, and basically Tim Ferriss asked all these very successful people the same questions, and they all provided an answer. But Jocko's 10-minute blurb, the one theme that comes out is discipline equals freedom.
100%.
And it goes back to what you just said. It's like, if you are disciplined, that equals freedom, because I'm disciplined that I do this, it gives me this. I do this, it gives me this. It teaches you to actually do the work, because if you do the work, you get something. And I don't care if that's working out, that's your nutrition, that's your business, that's your relationship. It's all the same. If you put the work in, you get it out.
Yeah.
And discipline equals freedom. Yeah. So I agree. Jocko's he's a pretty intense guy.
Yeah. But I like it.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? His stuff can hit home sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's when I wondered about if you listen to him, because the guys. He is
So on that subject, what Jocko? But what other people kind of motivate you, give you a good push when it comes to like when you're feeling a little low?
You know what? I know we mentioned 75 Hard, so Andy Frisella for sure, because the guy, like, the thing about him is he's not for everybody.
No, he can be a little politically a little wild.
Absolutely. And you know what? If you don't like language, then you're not gonna like what he's gonna say.
But he's real when it comes to that. He's not being aggressive, or he's not swearing for the sake of swearing.
Not at all.
That's truly who he is, which I respect.
You know what? Every time he swears, it's for a purpose.
Correct.
He's trying to make his point to influence that. Hey, this is important. This is what I want to take hold of it. So his stuff is really good. But then I'll listen to things, even just like. I'm trying to think. You know what? Even, and it's going to sound like, you know who Ed? Do you ever heard of Ed Milet?
No.
So listen to his stuff, because he has great guests on there. And Ed's a guy that he's made $1 gazillion.
Gazillion's a lot.
It is a lot. I don't even know what that is, but he's made $1 gazillion of it.
All right.
But he has great people on there. But the guests are just really good. They give you good tips, and they give you good motivation. Mm-hmm. I know we talked about Gary Vee before the interview.
Yeah. Gary
Vee is still one of my favorite guys, because he still has really good, like, the guy's a bit of a motor mouth, but man, oh man.
Motor mouth, that's a good way to describe
you know what? So he gives you good, the things I like about him is he gives you good tactics. It's not fluff. He will tell you, listen, you want to earn an extra $5,000 a month? Go to garage sales, buy stuff, and resell it.
I saw that video.
And that stuff works. Like that, you know what? And he
did it one time in the video. He went to garage.
He does it.
Garage sales.
He does it all the time. Like, that's the thing. So that's why I say his can be very, very tactical. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just need that. Like, some days you just need something where you're like,
I agree, especially as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and you know, and I'll say sometimes, like, things like Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is like a little sometimes far-fetched for me, because I think I need somebody a little more grounded.
Well, because when he thinks of like the belief of power of belief, I should say, actually.
Yes.
It's not for you?
No, you know, it's kind of like, you know what, I think you know what it is? I can't relate to him.
That's fine.
He's you know what? Gary Vee and Andy Frisella, I think they're still attainable people for me. I think Tony Robbins, I'll be honest, I bought a Tony Robbins book back.
I think we all did.
I
think we all did.
Like
Yeah.
I bought it
The
a
tapes,
long time
yeah.
ago. Oh, absolutely. And you know what? And I hate to say it, but Donald Trump as well. So like I bought a ton of his stuff when I was
That's
young.
controversial.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. I just brought that. But you know, but all of it was from a timing standpoint, it was kind of like you aspired to be those people because they seem to be
successful.
Absolutely. Whereas today, I'll be honest, Tony Robbins, I respect everything about him, but
I think he's changed a little bit though in the times.
I think so.
When's the last time you heard him?
You know what? I listened to a podcast, and I'm trying to remember who had him on. Somebody had him on. I'll be saying within the last year. Mm-hmm. Again, I respect everything because you can't discount what he's done.
Well, no. At the end of the day, if it works, right? 100%. But there's different ways to skin a cat.
You betcha.
Right.
You betcha.
So what works for you may not work for other people.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it's a yeah. You know what? Again, there's nothing bad about him.
Mm-hmm. It's just not for you.
It's just not my thing. You know what? I'm more. I think what my thing is I'm more down to earth. So that's why I like listening to Andy Frisella because he swears. He's a normal guy to me. Yeah. He's a
well.
guy
It's funny because like he'll say like in his podcast like the reason why you're not getting to your goals is because you're fucking lazy.
And I would love to say that every single day.
I know, and it's funny when you hear that like. Yeah.
He's true.
Right?
He's being honest.
And sometimes that can rub people the wrong way. Right?
Put it this way. I know so many people that could rub. Think about it if you said that to people. You'd have
a little less clientele.
Yeah, you betcha you
would. A little less clientele.
You would because...
But people need to be trained differently, right?
They
Just
do.
as like people need to be motivated differently.
They do.
For me, what needs to be... for me, motivation is getting to the reality of the situation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just saying how it is. Like Jocko. You know what I mean?
Being honest.
And so some people would be like, no, they need to have a little bit of fluff. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Well, you know what you have to realize is you always have to realize everybody you deal with is different. And some people can take that. So some people you can say, listen, suck it up because you know what you're doing right now sucks. And if you want results, you gotta stop doing that shit. Mm-hmm. Some people you can't say that to. And you gotta say, listen, well, you know what, maybe you want to do this, or maybe you want to, you know what, why don't we start with this? And that's perfectly fine. Both those people could get to the same place eventually. But you can't tell. Like you can't tell that this lady here. You can't tell her to like get your shit together. Like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because you know what, you will lose her as a client, and she will be demotivated, and it will shut her out.
Yeah, which is something I would never want to do is demotivate somebody, right?
100%. What you want everybody to be successful.
Exactly. Oh, I want everybody to be successful, as I know you would too.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm with you on that one. So with everything that's going on with the vaccines and stuff like that, do you find yourself trying to teach people more about proper supplementation and nutrition? Because I'm not saying vaccines don't work. Yeah. They definitely do, yeah. Right? And they definitely help.
Sure.
But I'd rather have something naturally help in the long term than have a booster every 4 months.
At the end, you know what? At the end of the day, I think all of our goals should be to try to how do you build your immune system? Mm-hmm. So that I'll be honest, that's a big thing. And I will say that we've shifted a little bit now. Have we lost people? Have we lost customers because of it? Or I should say, have we lost engagement on social media because of it? Maybe. Mm-hmm. Because we're talking more about, you know what does stress do to your immune system? Yeah. You know what, managing, you know what are you lacking? What vitamins could you take that could help you? So yeah, you know what, we're probably over the last probably 6 months, we've probably changed that a little bit, where maybe in the past it would have been more talking about your core supplements that you would normally talk about. You know what, your proteins and your pre-workouts and your EAAs and, you know, your recovery stuff. Where now it probably is more about yeah, what do you do to be healthy? And I say it, the way I talk to people about it is, take this thing here. It doesn't matter if if you go and work out 3 times a week, 5 times a week, or don't work out at all. My mother should be taking these. Yeah. That's like, they're just essentials to help you build up your immune system, just be healthier. The other thing is, I mean, I hate to say it, but like the one thing that's come out is Don't be overweight.
I think
it's touchy. It's touchy, but it's the truth.
Well, we talked about this the other day when I saw you. The one thing that like is crazy, and I hate saying this, but I've never seen people care so much about their health until this pandemic, which is a good thing, but a bad thing because it's a pandemic, right? But I've never seen people actually care about training, whether that's running, whether that's weight training, whatever the hell it may be. I've never seen people care about their nutrition. I've never seen people care so much about their vitamin like stack and stuff like that. And it's a little sad that it takes a pandemic to understand it, because you've been preaching that, you've been trying to teach that. I know I have. So I see it as a blessing, because and we talked about this a little bit off air. Like at the end of this, true supplement shops that teach proper supplementation and nutrition like you, and true gyms are gonna really win at the end if they can withstand this.
They are, because
all these people are like, you know what? The people who are passing and stuff like that, on average, right, are people who are overweight or God forbid they have some kind of pre-existing issue, and they can't fix that. That's, I can't say anything against that. Yeah. But when it comes to being overweight or being unhealthy in general, you know what I mean? Absolutely. Whether that's cigarettes, smoke, drinking, eating McDonald's once a day or twice a week, you can change that. Yeah, easy stuff. You can change that, right? You can change going for a walk. Like during this whole lockdown and pandemics and stuff like that, the one thing that anybody could have done is gone for a walk, right? And they didn't say that in any of the things, which is a little sad.
Well, you know what? I don't know if you noticed it, but I noticed it in my area where I live. I noticed, especially in the summer, I noticed a lot more people. Even in the spring, when it was still not, the weather may not have been great, there were a lot more people out there walking dogs that I never saw before. Yeah. So, I think a lot of people understood that, but you're right. I think if there's a letdown, one of the letdowns I'll say that the government has done for most of us is they didn't convey that. They didn't do a very good job at saying, listen, you know what? Go out for a walk. You know what? Maybe look at what you eat. They didn't do that. They absolutely didn't promote that. And that was, and I heard this last week, I think I heard it, that the CDC is really going to start pushing about what it means to be healthy and what the benefit is. I hope the hell they do that, because I think that's what it's going to take. I was at a family function a little while ago, and I might get into trouble for this.
That's okay. We all did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody just wants to admit to it, but it's okay.
But this was a family member that said this to me, somebody that I've known for 40 years. Mm-hmm. And they said to me, I've just come to the realization that I'm okay to be fat.
That is
and
so
I
sad.
thought to myself, again, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Here's a 45-year-old lady who said this. And I think, oh my God, you potentially could live for another 55 years.
Yeah.
Why do you want to be
happy 45?
Absolutely. And be healthy and be able to run with your grandkids and be able to do that stuff. That's the stuff that we get. We have to we have to stamp that stuff out. But it takes more than me and you saying that, because our reach isn't big enough. So we need the government, or we need somebody bigger. We need that message to be bigger than that. It's kind of like, and I'm not going to date myself here, Norm. You may not remember it, but do you remember the participation thing?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So that's what I figured you would. So back in, and I'm going to say the 70s and the 80s, when I was in elementary school for sure, there was TV commercials, and it was all government run, but there was these two people that talked about participation, and it was all about just being active. That's all it was. It was just go out and be active. More, and it wasn't work out. No, be active. And it was called this participation. And it was awesome because it made people go and do stuff. The government needs to go back and redo that stuff, because people need to realize, hold on a second here. If I were to lose 10 pounds, oh my God, look what that could do to my health. And it's not about how you look. I think that's
I agree with you.
It's like, what's your body look like?
Yeah.
What's inside, what's it doing to your organs? When people are holding excess weight,
It's not what they look like that's important. It absolutely isn't. It's,
And I
it's
feel
the pressure that's putting on your organs.
100%. And I feel like people think it's like, okay, so now I gotta be skinny. It's like, no. There's a healthy body fat,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? Be healthy,
That's it.
right?
That's it.
Well, to me, being healthy is like being able to go for. If God forbid you need to go do something really quick, you can do it.
That's the
Okay, if you need to sit down or squat down and pick something up and it doesn't break your back or whatever, you can do it, right? I'm not saying you got to deadlift 500 pounds.
No.
I'm not saying you have to be able to shoulder press,
No.
bench press, all those things. Like I said before, those things are gravy,
Absolutely.
right? But I want you to be healthy.
That's
I
the
want you to
key.
be strong, and
That's
I want you to feel like you're capable of other things.
At the end of the day,
Right?
you know what? At the end of the day, I look at it for myself. At the end of the day, I would like to think that when my kids, if my kids ever have kids, I'm going to be able to go out there and play with them. That's my big thing. Right?
Well,
that's,
yeah.
You want to be able to live a good quality of life. So I literally say this all the time to people. I'm going to live to be. I'm halfway through my life. I'm going to live to be 100. So and I'm gonna live a healthy 100.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. It's kind of like I want when I'm 75. I want to still be doing the same stuff that I'm doing today.
Yeah.
I see guys at the gym that are one guy, John. John is 82, 83 and now. He probably got pandemic. He's probably even older now. But John he's a Scottish guy. Played rugby. He is so
That's a hard sport.
He is so crazy. But the guy is the hardest worker when I see him at the gym. He changes his shirt twice because he sweats that much. The man is insane, but he's incredible. So I look at that and I say, why can't we all be like that guy?
Yeah.
And there's nothing, and he's not a freak. He's not a phenom. He's
Works
just
hard.
a normal guy. He's a
hard.
normal guy, and he is as healthy as anything. And he's out with his grandkids, and he's running this, and he's doing that, and he's walking the dog, and he's doing So I think we all have the
He's
ability.
active.
Yeah, we all have the ability to be that, and we don't need. It's not that you need to go to the gym and work out. Sure, that's a great thing to be able to do it, but at the end of the day, what if you just went for a 20-minute walk?
Well, I have a client who, let's see if I can tread this carefully. I have a client who, he works out with me. He trains, not right now because it's illegal to train right now.
Yes.
But he trains and everything like that. But he's like, we need to take these boosters because, the government's saying like we haven't been outside. And I look at him and I'm like, but you can be outside. You can go for it. Now, right now, it's fucking cold.
Cool,
outside.
yeah, absolutely.
But I'm just saying,
Bundle up.
But previously, I'm like, there's no reason. I'm not asking you to go for a 5K run. I'm asking you to put on a podcast, put on some music, or have some alone time with yourself and walk for 20, 30 minutes. And I don't think people understand how walking 20, 30 minutes a day can improve your life significantly, right? To them, it's a chore, which is sad because one, it's time to yourself that you deserve.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves time to themselves.
I agree.
And two, it improves your health. And to them, it's like this big chore, and I don't understand. I'm like, but you're giving yourself love.
You know what? So we'll go back to 75 hard. When I did 75 hard, I was doing walks at 10 o'clock at night. And it was the winter. And it was last winter. And I'm going to tell you, there were some nights that it was minus 20. But I'm going to tell you something. When I finished those walks, I felt fantastic. But during them, it was peaceful. It was quiet. There's nobody else out.
It's just you.
So absolutely. So it's me and my dog. And it was so good from a mental standpoint. And yeah, you know what? I got a 45-minute walk in and it was awesome. So I think, you know what? And there's nobody that can't do that. We all have the ability. It's free. Yeah. It's free. All you need to do is put on your boots and coat and go and walk. So I agree with you. It's kind of like just do something. Just do something. And lots of people look and say, oh, you know what, geez, it's only a 20-minute walk. Yeah, but and at some point it's going to be a half an hour walk. It's going to be a 45-minute walk. And in the summer, it might be an hour and a half walk.
This is beautiful outside.
You betcha. So it's taken those baby steps, but it's those little things that's what's going to make you live to be 100.
I agree. Or even, okay, let's say God forbid, but even if it's like 85, it's a happy, strong healthy 85.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
You want to, I guess I'm sure we've all had people that their last 3 years weren't very healthy.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I've seen people that have had to wear oxygen, have the oxygen tank for the last 2 or 3 years of their life. How much fun is that? I don't want to be that person. And that's and I hate to say it, but that happened because of life choices. That person made some choices that weren't good for their health, and they continued them for 80 years.
Let's not forget that, like, 40 years ago, like, it was sexy to smoke cigarettes.
100%.
It was on magazines.
100%
If you were cool,
it was.
if you were sexy,
You did that.
whether you're a guy or girl,
Yes.
you smoke cigarettes, right?
You betcha.
You could smoke cigarettes in a hospital, right? Back in the day. I'm thankful I can still remember the smoking and not smoking section.
It's the weirdest.
It's weird.
It is. It's the. Hey, I remember going to college, and there was our teachers were smoking all the time. I remember the first company I ever, one of the biggest companies that I first worked for. There was people smoking in your cubicles. There's people smoking. So that's how crazy. I mean, that just seems so insane now that you could ever do that.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
It just and I would like to think that it's not sexy anymore. Like it's not that. It's kind of like
It's definitely gone down a little bit.
Yeah, I would say so. Oh, my buddy, his wife got COVID. He got COVID, but she struggled with it because you know what? She was a smoker. She quit smoking.
Well, I mean, it attacks the respiratory
That's
system,
it.
right?
So if there was a good thing about it, is you know what? It made her quit.
It's weaker, right?
Made her quit. So she doesn't smoke anymore. That's
a blessing.
It
came out of it, right?
It kind of is, and she's fine now. She's fine.
That's good. That's good.
But it took her a long time to get over it versus him.
Mhm.
Right. So.
No, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
That's for sure a real thing.
Right.
Another thing kind of want to go over with you is when do you ever find people coming in and asking for like debating against you when it comes to like creatine or pre-workouts and stuff like that, and like almost looking for a fight?
Yeah, you know what? A lot of folks. I wouldn't say a lot. I will say that there's some people that come in that no matter what you say, they will say, "Oh yeah, but I read this." That's usually what it is. So they've done some research, which I always tell people: read, go and read. However, they almost want to say, they almost are coming in saying, "I shouldn't take this." And at some points with those people, and there's been a couple of them where I'm kind of like, okay, well, I'm
not going to win you here.
That's right. I can't. I'll tell you what I know. I'll tell you, hey, if I take that, I'll tell you, hey, I take it and I'm fine. And I believe in it because of this. But there are points where you're just kind of like, I'm not going to force you to take this. So if you don't think you want to take creatine because of you think of all these bad things, then don't take it. Yeah. Like I'm not going to. My job. And I'm a bad salesperson, so I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I'm not going to fight you. So if you think that my job shouldn't be to try to convince you. My job should be to educate you. Try to educate you as to why, and then you decide if you want it or not. And I'll never force anybody to take anything. That's your decision. I'll give you all the information that I know based on my knowledge, based on my experience. After that, that's your call to say, is it right for you to take or not? Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah.
So any plans to open up a second one, maybe?
You know what? It's funny you say that because I absolutely,
because you guys are killing it.
I absolutely had thought.
And I'm proud of you guys. I'm happy for you guys.
I've definitely thought about it.
Is this breaking news? Right now?
No, well, I want to wait because you know what? I look back and say, before this happened, if you would have asked me this on February 2020, I would have said yes. Now I want to wait because I would hate to open something and have this happen again. Because when the gyms are closed, that's an impact to us.
Oh, you guys work together.
Oh, without a doubt. That's why I'm so supportive of gyms, because I know what it does to my business. I also know what it does to the people that are in the industry. So it's one of those things. So like I would like to see things level off where we get back to a little bit of normalcy, and then that's when I would definitely.
So hopefully
a year or two. Because again, I want to be sure.
That's fair,
right? I want to be sure for sure, right? Like it's a good. The thing that you realize is every day is fun for me. Every day is fun because I get to talk to people that are positive, that all, like I said it before, we're all trying to do the same thing, right? And that's the difference. Whereas if I worked at Walmart, that's completely different because you might deal with some pretty angry people sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I don't get to deal with angry people. I get to deal with positive people that are trying to improve their lives.
That's fair.
Right?
That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I'm excited for the industry because I literally think if things go well, everybody that's involved in the industry will the last 2 years of hell will be hopefully worth it because we have everybody that I don't care who you are, if you're a gym owner, if you're a trainer, if you're in the supplement industry, you have gone through hell. It has not been freaking easy at all. And I don't care how big and small you are.
And I mean, we could have I don't want to extend. I know you have to leave soon, but it sucks because what we do as trainers or supplement industry is teach proper health. So the fact that we're shut down during all of this is kind of wild.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's kind of wild. But I mean, that's a podcast on its own.
Oh my God.
Right?
You could have a series just on that.
Yeah. But Wayne, I think you're great. You're amazing.
You.
I appreciate you bringing in the 15 year. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to bring you again just so I can have another 15 year.
You know what? I'll be honest. I was shocked.
Why?
I didn't know how it would taste.
I don't think I've asked you. Are you predominantly a Scotch drinker?
Not at all.
What do you like to drink when
Rum.
it's a rum?
Yeah.
I think rum's too sugary.
Yeah, a lot of people find that, and I like darker rum.
Okay.
So I like it to be a little. My thing is I don't drink a lot, so when I do, I want to taste it.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Whether it's this a beer, I want to taste it. I don't want to taste water. Like a Coors Light.
I hate
that's
Coors
Light. I do too. So I always use that in my example, but so this here actually I like
pretty
the
good, right?
taste of it. Yeah, I like the taste of it.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it in. I appreciate you.
You're more than welcome.
And cheers. Hope to have you on the podcast again.
Absolutely, anytime, my
And
friend.
so Boss Supplements, where is it right now?
We are in Newmarket, just almost across from the Upper Canada Mall, 1772-5 Yonge Street. So right across from Canadian Tire.
Canadian Tire. And your Instagram handle?
We are Boss Newmarket.
Boss
and that's
Newmarket.
got both on Facebook and on Instagram. And our website is newmarket.bosssupplements.com.
Awesome. So you guys look out for that. And I appreciate you, Wayne, coming in.
Thank you very much.
All right, you have a good rest of the day.
Awesome. Thank you too.
Bye.